Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to do the granny square bookmark, and we're going to use a super fun, simple method for joining these together. It's called the continuous join as you go, and it makes your life so much easier when joining granny squares. We've added a little tassel to the bottom. Super simple, great gift idea. If you're new to crochet, this lets you play with the whole concept of a granny square, and it also shows you how to join them together without having to sew them together at the end. We've also made a nice little border around the granny squares. Again, it comes out super cute, super simple. Any book lover would love to have this. It's a very classic granny square look. I am using a 3.5mm crochet hook, some 4-weight yarn. You can use any size hook that you like, any size weight yarn that you like. You'll also need a yarn needle and scissors to weave in your ends. To start our little granny bookmark, we're going to make 3 granny squares. Start with a magic circle. Chain 3 and put 2 double crochets into your circle. Chain 1, put 3 more double crochets into your circle. And now we have our 2 sets of granny square clusters. Chain 1, we want 2 more clusters, so 3 more double crochets into that circle. And make sure you're working over your tail, and you'll pull that closed to make the circle a little smaller when we're done. There's my 3rd cluster. You can kind of pull your work apart to see those chain 1 spaces. Chain 1, we have 1 cluster, 2 cluster, 3 clusters, 1 more cluster, so 3 more double crochets into that circle. Chain 1. Make sure you have your 4 double crochet clusters. Chain 1 and slip stitch to the top of your chain 3. You can see your tail is at the back end. Just grab it, kind of cinch that tail up, or that hole closed, and you've got your 1 round granny square. Go ahead and fasten off. Make 2 more of these so you have a total of 3, and I will show you how to continuously join as we go to form the bookmark. So I have my 3 squares made, my 1 round squares. What you want to do is start in the chain 1 corner of any of these shells. So I'm going to pick one, and we're going to work around, and then when we get to this point, we will join this square. We'll work our way around, and we will join the last square, and then we will put the border around the whole thing. So pick up your 2nd color. I'm going to use white, and just put a slip knot on your hook. Grab your square and find the chain 1 space, any one, and put your hook right into it. Yarn over and draw that yarn through both loops, and now you've joined your second color. Chain 3 and work 2 more double crochets into that space. And we're only going to work this half of the corner. We will worry about working that second shell when we get all the way back around. So go ahead and work a traditional granny up until this corner. I'm going to chain 1 in between my corners here. Find the next chain 1 space and work 3 double crochets. Chain 1 and work 3 more double crochets into that same corner chain 1 space. We've worked this corner, half of this first corner, chain 1 in between our shells, 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, all into that next corner chain 1 space, chain 1. Let's move to the next chain 1 space, do the same thing, 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, all into that space. Chain 1 and work half of a corner into this next chain 1 space. So I'm going to put my 3 double crochets right into that corner chain 1 space, and I'm going to stop. So you should have something that looks like this with an unfinished side on this side. To bring in our next square that is going to sit right on top, I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to bring in my square and find any of those chain 1 corner spaces, put my hook in, find my yarn on the back side, and just draw up the loop and pull it through both loops. So now we have joined that granny square. Going to chain 2, 2 more double crochets into that corner. These get all twisted, so don't worry too much about that. You want these shells to mimic each other on both sides, so it will even itself out once we start attaching. We're going to put our hook into this chain 1 space, draw up that loop and pull it through, and now you can see it is starting to form our little granny join, continuous join. I'm going to find the next chain 1 space corner and put in 3 double crochets. Now we're at our other corner here, so we want to find this chain 1 from our other granny square. I'm going to chain 1, turn my work a little bit, find that chain 1 that's in between our 2 shells, go in through the top like this, and then pull up that loop and pull it through like that. I'm going to chain 1 and work my other granny shell into that same space on our second square. And this will help us turn the corner a little bit. Chain 1, and we're going to work around till we get to this corner. So you're going to always have one unfinished edge. Three double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet into that same spot. Chain 1 and work 3 double crochet into that next chain 1 corner space. We've got our unfinished edge on this side. I'm going to chain 1, bring in my last square, find the chain 1 corner spaces, put your hook right in there, and pull up the yarn. You're going to have to kind of turn these. We're going to do 3 double crochets, or you can chain 3 and do 2 double crochets, whichever you prefer. Grab your So there's our bookmark there. We're starting this side, and we want to pop our hook into that space from the previous granny that we just joined, and pull up the yarn through that and just slip stitch to join, and then work 3 more double crochets into the next chain 1 space. Chain 1, find the corner chain 1 space from the previous granny, and go ahead and pick up the yarn, pull it through both loops. You still have 1 loop on your hook, chain 1, and we're going to finish this corner. So 3 more double crochets into that same corner, chain 1 space. Chain 1. We're going to work 3 double crochet into the next corner space. Chain 1 and 3 more double crochet into that same space, and that will finish off this corner. Chain 1, 3 double crochet into this last corner, and you can see we have our unfinished edge along there. What we're going to do is just finish this edge off. So chain 1 and 3 double crochet into that same corner, and you're just going to work along that unfinished raw edge. Chain 1, here's our next corner space, work 3 double crochets into it. I like to put a slip stitch. If it's too tight, you can go ahead, chain 1, put a slip stitch into, there should be a stitch right there to kind of join those together. You won't have such a gap, so it'll mimic this a little better. And chain 1, and now work your 3 double crochet into the next little corner chain 1 space. So I'm using a chain 1 in between all of my shells. If you prefer to do a 2 chain for your grannies, try it out, see how it comes out. Because this is a bookmark and I'm working smaller, I didn't want too much extra space in between my granny's shells. So I decided just to do the chain 1 in between them, but try it out, see if you like a bigger chain space. Alright, so I'm back at that beginning corner that we started on. You can see I finished up working that raw edge. I'm going to work my last 3 double crochet shell. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to join with a slip stitch to that corner that we started with. I can fasten off, and I will show you how to put a simple border along this, and we will finish up with a little tassel for our bookmark. Okay, so I'm going to put a border around my bookmark. I'm going to bring back in the color that I used for the center. You can use any color, you can change colors, you can continue with your the color that you were working with. So just put a slip knot on your hook, pick up your bookmark, and you can start in any of the spaces. So I'm just going to pick a corner and join my yarn. Join it with a slip stitch. I'm going to chain one, and I'm going to work in every stitch around. Just work a single crochet all the way around in every stitch. When I get to these chain one spaces, I'll just work directly into that space and then continue into every stitch. For the corners, I am going to work 3 single crochets just to get around the corner. So 3 single crochets into the corners. And then single crochet into every stitch across. When you get to the joins, you're going to have to play it by ear and see what looks best. Sometimes if the join is a little bit more of a little V or a divot, you may have to work another stitch or 2 across those areas just to fill in and make it more uniform, make it more of a straight line. So I do like to put in a few more stitches. This one wasn't too bad, so I think I'll be fine just putting one right in there. You just kind of have to play it by ear and see what looks best as you're crocheting. Some people have a really tight tension, and some people have a looser tension, and just depending, you may get a more noticeable little divot in these join spaces. So you can always put in stitches, work a few more, and then hold it away and just see if you like it. You can also block this when you're done to kind of pull out these little divots. So I like to put one in that space and then one in that center chain or that join space, and then one in that other corner space, and then just continue your single crochets in each stitch. And remember, 3 single crochets into each of the corners just to turn the corner a little better. So I'm back here at the beginning, and I'm going to go ahead and put in 2 single crochets to get this corner squared off. Slip stitch into the stitch that we started with and fasten off. I'm going to take a minute and weave in my ends, but you can see that the border has straightened out a little bit of this, these little divots and sort of uneven spaces where we join. You can also block it, but the single crochet border really gives it a nice simple edging, makes it look a little more finished, and I like how it coordinates and brings in this center color. So go ahead and weave in your ends, and I will show you how to put a little toggle tassel on the bookmark. Just a little added finishing touch. If you wanted just a flat bookmark, then you are done. You can block it if you want. So here is our somewhat finished bookmark. Like I said, if you want to leave it like this, that's perfectly fine. If you wanted to add another single crochet border, that's fine. If you want to add the little chain toggle, that's what I'm going to show you now. So I'm going to take my white yarn, put a slip stitch on my hook, and you can work into the top of any of these spaces, any of these chains. If you want your little toggle tassel to be on one side or the other, go ahead, start in one of these corners. If you want it to be in the center, start in the center. I am just going to do the center stitch and join this yarn with a slip stitch, and now I'm going to chain about 21. You can chain as many chains as you like, however long you want your little tassel to be. Alright, so I have my chain done. I'm going to find the second chain from the hook, and I'm just going to put 3 single crochets into that same chain. Just kind of turn as you go to get around your chain, this chain here, and then slip stitch to join those 3 single crochets, and that will give you a little ending here, and we will put our tassel in through that space that you created by putting in your 3 single crochets. So go ahead and fasten off, and we will add our little tassel. To put our tassel on, I have cut 4 even strands of the blue variegated yarn that I use for my border in the middle of my squares. I have tried to line them up as evenly as possible so the edges are even. Some of them aren't quite as long. That's okay. We can trim them once we put it onto our tassel, or the end of our chain. So what you want to do is grab the end of your chain on your bookmark, and those 3 single crochets that we had done at the end of this chain should create somewhat of a little space. Put your hook directly into that space. Pick up your strands of yarn and lie them right over your hook like that. Now we want to pull all of these strands through that space at the end of our chain. So just go very slowly and pull them up and pull them out a little bit. So now you should see you've got this space where all of your strands of yarn have been pulled up. Be careful not to pull them too far up, or they will all come out. You'll pull them right through that little end of our chain. What we want to do now is all of these end strands need to be pulled through these loops. So whatever's easier for you, you can put your hook through and try to grab them and pull them through. I like to try to get my finger through all of these loops and then pull them up. If you can get 2 fingers, so much the better. It will make it easier to grab those and pull them through. Make sure you get all of them. See, I don't know. Okay, let's see. There we go. And see, I lost one. So that may happen too. If you don't pull it up all together, sometimes certain ones get lost and they don't make their way into this loop. So now I've got this loop like this, and just gently pull those ends evenly, and you'll see it'll tighten up here. You just want to make those as tight as possible. Just keep pulling them until it gets tight. And there you go. You can weave in your ends at the top of your bookmark and down here. And we have our little tassel on our bookmark. And if the ends bother you, you can go ahead and just pinch them together and then trim them up. A little granny square bookmark. We did a very simple, straightforward, continuous join as you go for the second round of the granny. You can use this method for blankets or any other granny square project where you're trying to join them together and you don't want to take time at the end to sew them all together. We created a nice simple little tassel for the end of our bookmark. A very simple project, but the end result is super classic. Any book lover would love to have this. You can use any yarn, any size hook. All you need is a little bit of a center color and a border, and then a little bit of your second row to kind of make those centers pop. Doesn't take very much yarn at all. I hope you like this video. Please be sure to like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. I hope everybody has a happy new year and I will see you in 2023. Bye!